Mr. Miyagi treated me like a son. He wouldn't keep any secrets from me.
Are you sure about that?
With Season 1 and 2 of Cobra Kai having now been re-released on Netflix, the show has reached new heights of popularity. But with more viewers comes more questions and criticisms, with some reaching the conclusion that the series is nothing more than a play on the nostalgia felt by us 80s and 90s kids. But does it stay true to the original story, or is it too different? Make sure you stick around because today we're taking a look at the differences between Cobra Kai and the original Karate Kid. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. First, where does Cobra Kai fit in? Before actually looking into the similarities and differences between the original franchise and the show, we first need to ask ourselves where Cobra Kai actually fits in. In other words, why are critics comparing the series to the Karate Kid? Well, the answer is a lot simpler than you might think, as Cobra Kai actually takes place in the same cinematic universe as the Karate Kid. In fact, it even surrounds the lives of the two main characters of the original franchise, Daniel Larusso as portrayed by Ralph Macchio and Jonny Lawrence as portrayed by William Zabka. As to where Cobra Kai as a show fits in, we have to travel a full 34 years into the future after the monumental fight between Daniel's son and Johnny at the All Valley Karate Championship. Now all grown up, Johnny has a run-in with the young Miguel Diaz, played by Zolo Mariduena, who he decides to train in an attempt to stop Miguel from being bullied, as well as essentially give himself purpose again. This results in the reopening of the Cobra Kai dojo, which causes Daniel's son to take notice. So now that we know the basis for the show, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Second, a different perspective. Fans of the original Karate Kid franchise will agree that the trilogy was very much set from the perspective of Daniel's son. To a large extent, this was the product of the times, being released as far back as 1984, where directors tended to focus on one primary character and a couple of side characters. As such, the viewer is taken on a journey that is based on Daniel's son's own biases, resulting in what we now call the untrustworthy narrator dilemma. You see, everyone sees themselves as the hero of their own story, so when Daniel's son goes through his trials and tribulations only to defeat Johnny at the tournament, we can't help but cheer in absolute joy. Cobra Kai, on the other hand, tends to look at things from a different perspective. In fact, you could say that the show looks at a number of perspectives in an attempt to rid itself of the untrustworthy narrator dilemma, but does tend to focus on the worldview of Jonny Lawrence, one that was sorely lacking in the original franchise. Although still considered to be the villain in the first season, we are introduced to Johnny when he is really down on his luck. The years have clearly been unkind to him since his loss to Daniel's son all those years ago. Drunk, lost, and essentially written off by his family, we can't help but feel sorry for the guy. Cobra Kai does something in this very first episode which the Karate Kid only really hinted at towards its end, which is to paint Johnny as a human being. As we said earlier, this was definitely lacking to a large extent in the original franchise, where the bad guys were merely bad because, well, they said so. Next, a far greater emphasis on character development. Now, don't get us wrong, we're not saying that the original Karate Kid had no character development at all. We're simply saying that Cobra Kai has placed more emphasis on the concept. As we said earlier, the Karate Kid spent a lot of time with Daniel's son and showed his journey from newbie to master in the art of karate. The lessons were incredibly fun, the fights were legendary, and the accompaniment of Mr. Miyagi made everything so much better. But essentially speaking, that's all that really happened insofar as character development was concerned. Daniel's son got much stronger. With Cobra Kai, we are seeing a bit of a shift, where the focus is now on a couple of characters, each with their own character arcs. Eli, for example, starts out as this geeky kid who wants to learn karate because he's being bullied at school, only to reinvent himself as Hawk, and essentially go on to bully other kids to make himself feel powerful. Miguel, on the other hand, starts out in a similar way, and through the teachings of Cobra Kai becomes a formidable fighter who shows no mercy. He does, however, show mercy towards the end of the second season, pointing to the fact that he may be actually good after all. Then we have Robbie, who is trained just like Daniel's son in accordance with the principle of Mr. Miyagi. Although always an incredible student and heroic person, we have Robbie turning to the dark side in a way by kicking Miguel off a staircase when his guard is down, after Miguel had actually shown him mercy. But most importantly, we have Johnny, who, as Cobra Kai shows us, has always wanted to be a hero. In fact, he's a great guy with amazing intentions who has unfortunately been tainted by a lifetime of Cobra Kai teachings by John Kreese. Johnny's journey is long and hard, but slowly and surely he starts to fit more and more into the hero mold. He teaches his students about mercy and how it can sometimes be the answer, resulting in him actually losing control over the Cobra Kai dojo in the process. Now having rid himself of all physical possessions, who knows what lies next for the guy? And that's the thing about Cobra Kai. Not only are a number of characters constantly developing, These developments are also seemingly random and surprising to us all. Next, the age-old story of good versus evil. The one thing that Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid have in common, other than taking place in the same cinematic universe of course, is the plot of good versus evil. In fact, there are a number of different shows and movies we could name that revolve around this idea, spanning from the Matrix franchise to Aladdin. It isn't exactly a new plot, but remains solid to this day. Although it must be said that while the Karate Kid saw things in a very black and white term, Cobra Kai delves more into the grayest of topics. Simply put, the Karate Kid presented us with a story where Daniel-san was considered to be the hero and Jonny Lawrence was considered to be the bad guy. Why were they good and bad respectively, we were never really told, but it didn't matter because all we wanted to see was some high-intensity karate. Cobra Kai, on the other hand, makes a point to not blame any individual characters for being bad or approve them for being good. Rather than label people, the show looks at labeling actions. A great example of this is Robbie, who sucker-kicked Miguel off the school staircase, breaking his neck. Although always painted as the hero, this action of his towards the end of Season 2 has resulted in the fans asking themselves, who is he really? There is thus more of a focus on actions being either good or evil, with characters themselves being able to change their allegiances, which is likely what we are going to see with Jonny and Miguel next season. In the same breath, it can be said that by keeping away from labeling characters, the show focuses on the true good and evil in Cobra Kai, attaching these labels to the dojos themselves. Cobra Kai as a dojo teaches concepts that value strength and winning, while Miyagi-Do karate teaches that karate is more like a lifestyle that can bring balance to the world if exercised. But just like Cobra Kai as an evil dojo can have good students, so can a good dojo like Miyagi-Do karate have evil students. Things are thus far more nuanced when it comes to Cobra Kai as a series, which was definitely missing from the original franchise. Next, lies and deceit. Cobra Kai also seems like it will be taking a big step forward by going after the patron saint of the Karate Kid franchise, Mr. Miyagi himself. As fans will tell you, the greatest sensei in the entirety of the fictional world has to be Mr. Miyagi. In fact, it seems like the sweet old man could do nothing wrong in the franchise, correcting Daniel-san along the way and making sure that he developed into the knowledgeable man we see in Cobra Kai. But with the teaser trailer for Season 3 releasing a few weeks ago, we don't know for how much longer Mr. Miyagi's name could be preserved. You see, the teaser trailer introduces us to dialogue between what appears to be Daniel-san and Chozen, with Daniel-san saying that Mr. Miyagi treated me like a son. He wouldn't keep any secrets from me. In a flash, Daniel-san is then flipped to the ground by a shadowy figure with a sai piercing the mat to the side of his face. The voice of Chozen then says, "Are you sure about that?" Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that the showrunners of Cobra Kai are looking to introduce a secret about the life and times of Mr. Miyagi that might throw Daniel-san from the path he finally finds himself on. This would be a pity, since we believe that Jonny and Miguel will also be migrating to the path of good soon and would love them to fight together. Sticking with the labeling of actions over and above people, we think it would be great to realize that Mr. Miyagi had done some bad things when he was younger, only to make a change for himself and dedicate his life towards the betterment of people's lives. Once more, Cobra Kai would show viewers that good people can do bad things and vice versa. Now that would be incredible. Anyway, that wraps up the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.